So you're interested in knowing more about the NextGen TIME? Kim and Chad, the professional and curriculum development team at Einstein, received facilitator training at Argonne National Labs last summer and are part of a cohort of 15 states who are implementing the process with schools and districts as they transition to the next generation science standards. Offering this experience to participants for free is really part of our collaborative nature at Einstein. We know this great process, and your teachers may be ready to start the transition to NGSS, or maybe your district is looking at implementing new curriculum materials. We're also in a spot where we need to update our curriculum to better meet the needs of the districts we serve. So let's divide up the workload and learn with and from each other in the process. This process was created in a collaborative effort between WestEd, BSCS, and Achieve, and funded through the Gates, Carnegie, and Pisces Foundations. This came in response to the lack of available high-quality NGSS instructional materials that are available on the market. The NextGen TIME process is a rigorous and intentional process developed to not only help schools evaluate and identify NGSS-aligned curriculum, but it also serves as a transformational professional development opportunity for science teachers to gain deeper understanding of the fundamental shifts in instructional delivery. And it will prepare teachers for taking leadership roles within the school as decisions are made on material adoption and planning for effective implementation of those materials. The entire NextGen TIME process consists of 5 different phases. Although its original intent is to evaluate materials you are considering to purchase, the process could also be used with your existing curriculum materials to identify any gaps they may have. The first phase of this process is the prepare phase. You will need to form a science leadership team that has representation from a variety of grade levels. Members of this team should already be familiar with NGSS and/or have a passion for STEM education. The next step is to have your team determine their readiness by completing the rubric that's found on our website. Finally, you'll need to gather potential programs you want to consider for evaluation. The prepare phase needs to be completed before you and your team attend our 3-day workshop. Now that you've taken the steps to prepare for NGSS, you'll be using the pre-screen phase to whittle down the programs you've gathered to 3 to 5 that show evidence of some key criteria for NGSS. You'll use the tools available on the website for each of the programs you are considering. In this phase, you're really only looking for the presence of criteria, and the materials are going to merit further review during the 3-day workshop, where you will dive deeper to find evidence of the quality of that criteria. For planning time, you might want to consider spending about 40 minutes per program you are reviewing during the pre-screen phase. This step also needs to be completed before the workshop. Here's where the rubber hits the road and the hard work begins. The 3-day workshop will focus on the paper screen phase, which is the most time-consuming and mentally demanding part of the NextGen TIME. In this phase, your team will dive deep into the instructional materials by gathering evidence of quality using the 5 different lenses. Yes, you will be going through the materials at least 5 times with a particular focus each time. With each pass through the materials, you'll gather evidence, analyze that evidence, and then use a scoring matrix to give the materials a numerical value. This results in a summary of the storyline and the student learning progression throughout the unit. The summarized document showing the strengths and weaknesses for the instructional materials will also help in your decision making. During the 3-day workshop, you can expect to learn the process using an example that was specifically written for NGSS to guide you through the paper screen phase. Once you've had some practice with the paper screen and all its lenses, you'll use the rest of the 3 days to apply the paper screen to one of the programs you are considering. If you're looking at more than one program, you'll need to complete this part of the phase outside of the 3-day workshop. It will take about 1 day to complete the paper screen per program you are looking at. The results will be identifying the 1 to 2 programs you'll consider piloting with classroom teachers. As intense as the paper screen process is, I think one of the best outcomes is the depth of knowledge the evaluator has of the instructional materials. You could almost think of this as a preparation for using the materials in the pilot phase in the classroom setting with students. Completing the paper screen will leave you with a ton of data and evidence to make a really informed decision before piloting. At Einstein Project, we not only want to help you transition to NGSS, but we too are in need of evaluating and identifying quality curriculum that we may want to consider purchasing. The information you are gathering and the comments and insights you will gain about different programs that are published is sensitive information, but it's also going to be extremely useful for others to learn from. And for that reason, we're going to expect you to sign a Memorandum of Understanding. Einstein will create a collaborative document that will contain the title of the program, its final score on the paper screen, and a point of contact for someone in your district. This document will be shared with all districts participating in NextGen TIME workshops and will need to be kept confidential for professional reasons. If your district is interested in looking at another publisher, you will know that the district evaluating the program used an intentional method of evaluation to arrive at a final score. You will also know who to contact in other districts to ask questions or gather any other insights on the published materials. Also, your team or district will agree to submit copies of the completed charts, rubrics, and any other evidence you gathered with us at Einstein. Einstein will not make this information public, and we will only use it internally to help us make evidence-based informed decisions should we decide as an organization to add the published program to our existing leasing structure. Rounding out the final phases of NextGen TIME is the pilot phase. This is not part of your 3-day workshop, and you will be on your own to proceed with your curriculum evaluation and decision making. It's recommended that someone who evaluated your materials use them in the classroom setting and do some artifact collection of student work along with some personal reflections to use in making a final recommendation for the materials your school or district may decide to purchase. You will have access to the tools to help you gather evidence during the pilot phase on our website. If you should want to continue the guidance of our Einstein team through this phase, it would probably amount to another 1.5 to 1 full day of consulting. Your district would need to make arrangements to pay for our services when getting help through the piloting phase. Wow, look at this. 71% say that adoption of new materials, without proper training, is the biggest stressor. Probably the next most important phase of the NextGen TIME is the planning phase. Here's where you're going to utilize your science leaders and their in-depth knowledge and comfort with the new materials you've decided to adopt. There's lots to consider when you've just spent tons of money on new curriculum, and the last thing you want is for it to not be used to its fullest potential. The average longevity of a science curriculum in most schools today is between 7 to 10 years. It's a major investment in money, so take the time to empower the rest of your staff to be successful with using it with students. Again, Kim and Chad are more than willing to work with you in developing a 1 to 3 year plan for implementation of your new materials. All you'd have to do is give them a call. So what's next? If all of this sounds like something that will work for your team and your district, please fill out the application form that's found on our website. You're also going to want to start looking over the prepare and pre-screen handouts that are found there too. Once your application has been reviewed, someone will contact you informing you of your participation location and date for attending the 3-day workshop. If you have any further questions or would like something else explained, please contact either Kim Lemberger or Chad Janowski at the Einstein Project. We look forward to hearing from you and are willing to help in whatever way we can.